One of my all-time favorite bands right there, Oingo Boingo, Dead Man's Party. It's right here on Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is doing great. What everyone else believes. So, it's just kind of a good topic, and I want it to be kind of along the lines, one, of sort of a fun kind of thought process, but two, this is an evolution for most and all of us, right? Like, what I knew 5 days ago is not what I know right now. What we knew about law of attraction, for example, a year ago might very well differ from where we're at right now. And so maybe a year ago, some of these concepts that we're currently doing successfully might have been borderline impossible. And what we're hoping to do maybe a year from now might seem impossible compared to where we are currently. Understand it is an evolution. The evolution goes as fast as it goes. And frankly, from my concept or opinion or vantage point, it's really hard to tell how quickly one's evolution goes, even from my standpoint. You can kind of compare yourself to others, though that's a bad idea, not something that's generally recommended, because really, and to my point, you don't really know what other people are going through, how they process, what their concept and full understanding is, what that actually means to them. All you really know is how it affects you and how you have grown from it. So one, always, I think, appreciating the fact that we are evolving is super important. Then on top of that, here's what I'm hoping maybe we can kind of get that sort of explained a little bit, so maybe it makes a little more sense for all of us, right? So of course, obviously, what we understand life to be, what we understand law of attraction to be, what we understand about manifesting is really based off of our experiences. So some of us maybe have experienced a lot more success stories in our own lives, right? And again, it's something I always think about when people share success stories, and we like to talk about, oh, so-and-so manifested a wall and a giant mountain, and it was covered in gold, and it was given to it's like, yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, one person did that. But you'll actually find that there's a lot of success stories around people that have created interesting scenarios, created jobs in their lives, maybe created a neat relationship with something, right? Like maybe something that's not so grandiose as the proof that this works, because first off, people can say whatever they want to say. It's our experiences that will prove to ourselves what we really can do, what we really can create. So again, we can hear about everything we want, that's fine, but what it comes down to is, what have I done? So I know a lot of people, I hear these messages all the time. A lot of people are like, well, these other people can do it, but I can't. Right. How is that necessarily helpful when it's like meditation's the same way. So many people have these preconceived notions about what the experience should be, that when their experiences don't match it exactly, then we start to diminish our experiences. We actually look at what we experience and disregard it because it doesn't match what someone else's experience is. And that's backwards. And that's really why I'm doing this video. We need to appreciate our experience. We need to grow with our experience. We need to understand how our mind works, how our world works. We need to come up with our own answers. Answers that work for you. Not answers that work for me, not answers that work for Susie, not answers that work for John, answers that work for you. That is how you will find success. It's how I find success. I don't try to do what everybody else does. I listen to them. I incorporate what I understand that they're talking about, and then I try my version of that. And like I've said before, I play with it. I attempt it, I try it, I work on it, I see what happens. I have an experience. And then others can say, well, that's not the experience I have. And I could say, that's pretty cool. This is the experience I've had. Your experience is interesting. That's really cool. That's it. No better, no worse. It's just experiences. So again, we start to come up with our own answers based off of our experiences, and then that becomes our understanding. And the more we understand about what we're trying to do, the better that we can truly navigate and move to the next location. I'm going to give an example that's a little sciencey, but it's something that all of us can kind of relate to, and certainly anyone that's had children. But the concept of the color of the sky. Let's assume, of course, it's not a cloudy day, because that makes it a much easier discussion. It's clouds, right? But I'm talking about the concept of a blue sky versus a sunset. Why is the sky blue? Many children would say, why is the sky blue? Now, to truly answer that question, you kind of have to have a little understanding about a couple things. One, color. The way color works, anything that has color is that color. Believe it or not, this is kind of backwards, but it's actually what it is. It's reflecting that color, meaning it absorbs all other color, but the color you're seeing, it doesn't absorb that color. That color is reflected. And that is why it looks brown or blue or whatever, because that color is reflected. All other colors are absorbed. So in the case of blue, it's reflecting the blue light. The shorter wavelengths of light are reflected and all other wavelengths come through. So the sky appears blue. As the sun sets and gets further into the horizon, it's now down lower, so there's actually more atmosphere that you're looking through. There's more air, right? It's just you're looking across the horizon, so instead of looking straight up, where maybe you've only got 5 miles of air, right? Now you're looking straight out where you've got hundreds and hundreds and thousands of miles of air, right? A lot of air versus 5 miles straight. Now you're in space, right? 5 miles is 60,000 feet, it's 10 miles. Let's call it 10 miles. That's like 50,000 feet. So 10 miles up, pretty much no air. 10 miles out, still lots of air. So the reason sunsets look red is because now the longer wavelengths are the ones that are reflected, because they're right, and the shorter ones make it through. So now it's reflecting red. Now again, a lot of this is like, what the hell does this have to do with anything? What I'm saying is, if I'm going to explain and understand and have a comprehension of color, of why the sky is blue, I need to understand a couple of the aspects. One, it's reflecting, and two, the level of atmosphere actually plays a part into what color I see. So when you do understand the mechanics of it, now you can make sense of it, and now you can start to make decisions based off that. It's much like law of attraction or any of these techniques. The more you do them, the more your understanding will grow, the more you will be able to come up with your own conclusions, the way you will be able to find things that work for you. And it's great always to take other people's suggestions, always, but to take other people's experiences and then assume them as the fact can be challenging and dangerous. And disappointing in a lot of cases, because most of us are going to have our different understandings and experiences. It's just how it is. We're all wired a little bit differently. We all march to the beat of a different drummer. There's reasons for that. It's what makes us unique. It's actually what makes it fun to talk to other people, because you get perspective. You get a different vantage point. It's a way of understanding something even more fully than just your experience by talking to other people as they explain it from their vantage point. So, as we experience these things and as we expand our understanding across the board, new truths will start to emerge. New things will start to happen. One other example that will kind of close this on. Again, it comes back to that understanding things, right? So, some of us might have finally started to see some of these coincidences that may start to show when we start thinking and start working on manifesting. So I'll start imagining a certain thing. I'll start imagining from that location. I'll imagine being with that person with such clarity. I'll use my 5 senses when I'm imagining, hopefully even your 6 senses sometime, but that's a different show. But I'll use my 5 senses as best I can. I'll try to figure out what it should look like, taste like, smell like, feel like, the whole 9 yards. I missed one in there. Sound like. Yeah, there you go. Sound like. So as I use those extra senses to understand the situation, I start to realize, oh my gosh, all these little coincidences start to happen. All these little things, like I see their initials, or all of a sudden this thing over here pops up, the country that they're in maybe, or the job that they're in. I'll see advertisements for their company. And it's like, wow, I was just imagining them. Now all of a sudden I'm seeing all this stuff around me. Has this stuff always been around me? Has it not always been around me? Or am I just noticing it because I'm thinking about it? Am I creating it because I'm thinking of them? Is it happening because the universe is basically saying, yeah, here's some stuff. This is what we're heading towards. And as we have expanded and played with that concept, we've started to come to some truths that certain things will show themselves to us, will demonstrate themselves to us as we move down this imagining process. So now a truth within you is the more I think about these certain things, the more similar things kind of show themselves to me. And the more I realize, oh my gosh, that's leading me to that thing. And as you actually manifest that thing and then go to manifest another thing, and you imagine from it, and imagine from it, and imagine from it, and you start to get examples, you start to see things happen, you're like, all right, this is happening again. Interesting. All these little things start to happen as I start to imagine being in that situation. So I'm imagining a new job. Now all of a sudden, the certain things for that company, right? You start to come to truths. People can say, oh, that's coincidence. People can say, oh, that's not true. And you can be like, well, maybe not for you. That's okay. That's your experience. In my experience, it is true. I see all sorts of interesting things as I work down that path. That is my experience, and thusly, that is my truth. Does it matter that somebody believes something other than that? No, it's my truth. It's my experience. They can say, yeah, but you're experiencing that because of this or this or this. And I'll be like, again, that's your reality can't handle my reality. My reality can handle your reality because I used to not believe in this either. But now I do because I've experienced it. And now my truths are different and defined based off of what I've experienced, not what you've experienced. And when we finally release ourselves to understand life through our experience and enjoy the process and look at it like a child and investigate these things we read about, these great techniques, all this stuff. Learn about it, read about it, and then try it and see what happens. And as you do that, you will change in ways that you've never imagined possible. When you finally allow yourself to trust your own experiences and your own understanding to shape your world, that is when your world no longer matches others. That is when your reality becomes something they can't comprehend. That is when you become one of the masters amongst the students. Maybe on accident, maybe it's what you'd like to be, maybe you'd like to have your own YouTube channel at some point too. This is kind of how we grow to that. This is how we experience these myriad of awesome things that are out there, this wonderful level of colors that we see in our world, and then we understand what those colors represent. It's reflections of the experience back to us. And from that, there's a level of freedom that will come to your life that is an amazingly beautiful experience. I hope this kind of makes sense. I hope this kind of spins a neat little direction for this whole concept of manifesting, because it's a beautiful ride, and it's something that I've enjoyed. It's one of the many things I've enjoyed, and it's truly one of the reasons why I enjoy waking up every day, is to see what sort of magic awaits me. Got a great show that I'll be doing probably for tomorrow morning is when it'll come out. I think I'm going to record it today, but it has to do with the trip. I just got back from another trip, and my plane ride back home, I sat next to two amazing people, and I'm going to talk about what it is to really learn to start to appreciate our moments every day. Again, they're our experiences, I should say, and they're for us to enjoy and learn from. Hopefully it makes a difference. Going to be going out with a great song by a band that I really, really like. It's like 5 or 6 of these guys, very musically talented. They're called Walk Off the Earth. The song's called I'll Be Waiting. It's right here on Dan RadioStyle.
The sun runs out and the stars fall out.